Hey everyone, I promised you a simple clay tutorial video, so this is it. I've decided to go with a dog sculpture first of all, and I will do a cat one after this one, see how it goes and see what you think. So just a quick description of what I use, as a few of you asked. I use either Fimo Soft, which you can get from eBay or Amazon, and I also use one called Super Sculpting Original, which is in beige, which is like a skin tone colour. It's a bit more expensive than the Fimo, but I have preference to this one just because I find it a lot easier to sculpt with. It's a lot softer and better at adding details. And also it's quite good to paint onto. So that's a very good clay. This one's probably around about 13 to 15 pounds for one block. So it's not the cheapest, but it is a very good clay. And it does have a kind of like translucent skin tone to it, so it's quite a good one. These are the coloured Fimo Soft. You can get Fimo Soft in all types of different colours, white, black, you name it. They also do an effects range where they do glow in the dark clay, which is quite a good one, and quite effective. Quite good actually if you want to make those sort of little glow in the dark stars that you used to have on the ceiling as a kid. Don't know whether you did, I did. So this colour is Sahara, which I thought is quite a good doggy colour, maybe for like a golden retriever, etc. And this one is Caramel, also a good nice brown colour for a dog sculpture. But obviously if you don't have these colours to hand, it's not a big deal. If you've got only white or black, you can use this tutorial for any colour that you have to hand really. The reason why I like Fimo is it's got a nice texture to it, and it's not sticky at all. I find some of the cheaper clays you can get on eBay, they're a bit tacky and sticky. So if you want a very good decent type of clay that's going to bake really well in the oven, then Fimo Soft is definitely the way to go. And because it's soft, it's not hard to sculpt with. It's very easy to use. Once you've done your sculpture, you can pop it in the oven. I've got an electric fan assisted oven, and I set the temperature at 110 degrees for 30 minutes. And touch wood, I haven't had anything burned so far, so obviously that works. You can bake at a slightly higher temperature, and I haven't had things burn, but I'm not sure what it would be for gas, but on the packaging it does tell you anyway what degrees to set it at. So if you've got a gas oven, I'm not sure how it would fare. Maybe just keep an eye on it whilst it's baking. Sculpting tools, obviously you guys aren't going to have the sort of tools I use on a day-to-day basis. These are the sculpting tools I use, quite a few, not to mention all those. So I appreciate you guys aren't going to have that sort of equipment to hand. So what we're going to use today is simply just your clay, and if you've got to hand some toothpicks, even better. So when I was first learning to sculpt, I did use toothpicks quite a lot. I found them quite useful to kind of mold the clay with. So I'll show you how to use a toothpick as a sculpting tool. So without further ado, let me open the clay and let's get started on making a doggy. Okay, so clay is now open. So the first thing you need to do with your clay is get it nice and soft. So you'll need to warm it up in your hands. So basically just keep crushing it in your hands until you notice that it goes a lot softer. So just keep crushing it until you can like kind of mold it into a ball shape. You will notice that your hands will get a little bit stained, but it's not a problem. It'll easily come off with soap and water, so don't worry. So okay, now it doesn't really matter about the amount that you break off. I'm just literally showing you what you need to do with your clay first, and then we can decide on what shapes and sizes you'll need to make your doggy. So once that's nice and squidgy, you don't have to condition Fimo Soft too much. It's quite a good little beginner's clay, so leave that to one side. So just squidge the rest of your clay that you've got. It does hurt your hands a little bit doing this, but the more professional clays are even worse than this. Okay, skipping ahead. So your block of clay, you've now squished down into a nice soft ball like this. So the first thing we're going to do with making a doggy is we're going to make the body. So you will need either a knife if you've got one. So parents, obviously you'll have to supervise your children with this bit, or even cut the clay up for them. But if you just cut yourself a nice big chunk off. So let's see, I would say that's probably slightly smaller than a golf ball sort of size, just slightly smaller, or maybe a gobstopper size if anybody remembers those. So to get the torso shape, roll it into a ball like so. Now this bit's a little bit tricky, but if you put it down on a nice smooth surface, kind of pop your finger gently on the end of, well, one side of the ball, and just gently rock it backwards and forwards, just gently, and just keep doing that until the one side of the ball has gone like a cone shape. So you see how it's going like a sort of more of a cone shape on that end, but we want to keep this end round if we can, because that's going to be the dog's bottom. So keep kind of rolling the one end, and there you go. So there's your cone shape with still a round end. So if you sit him up like that, now what you should do is, instead of him sitting straight up like that, we're going to angle him slightly and just push it down gently. So just turn him back around so he's at a slight angle. You'll see why soon. So now you're going to need to cut off some more clay. Doesn't really matter how much at this point, because what we're going to do is roll this into a snake of clay. So give him a roll. Okay, this is why it's important to make your clay nice and soft, because it's just easy to get these shapes then. So we're going to roll out a sausage shape, not too thick, because these are going to be his legs. Okay, I think that's going to be small enough. So maybe about the same thickness as a pencil. Do I have a pencil? Let's have a look. Not quite. There we go. If it's too thick, it'll be harder to kind of like curve round. You'll see what I mean. So once you've got your sausage shape, on the one end, you're just going to gently press down with your finger, smooth it. And then you're going to get your toothpick and you're going to gently push it in like that. Just gently rock it backwards and forwards along the end there. So in the middle, on the one side, and then on the other side. Like so. So just in case you couldn't see that properly, so you just gently push the toothpick in the middle, on the side, and then on the other side, and then you get your paw shape. And then the next thing, this might be a little bit tricky, so bear with me, but don't worry if you don't get it first time, just keep trying and you'll get there eventually. So if you perhaps go along, say 10 centimeters, something like that, gently push down with your toothpick and then lift the other end up like that. You're bending it back over on itself, keep it there, remove the toothpick, place it on top, more towards the front where the end of the paw is, and then bring the clay back over like that, and then remove the toothpick. And then you have a dog leg. So it looks like he's sitting down, you see? So what you'll need to do is use your knife. Kids, get your mum and dad to do this for you, because you will need a sharp knife to do this. And then we're going to get the torso. So I literally just cut down at a slight angle across the side of the leg so that it blends into your sculpture more, like that. And then just gently press it against the body. Nothing fancy. And there we go. How good does that look? So then repeat that step for the other side. Okay, I'll just repeat the leg again for you. So gently push down on the one end, smooth it with your finger, just gently. Get your toothpick. Creating the toes. You don't need to push in too hard, just gently, just to make the indents. And then pull back on itself, and then back on itself. So you're creating sort of like an S shape. So obviously you can see there's all this excess clay. Just, whoa, cut that off. And then, just so he blends in better to the body, I mean, you can just attach the leg as it is if you don't feel confident enough cutting bits of clay off. So you can just attach it as it is, but I just find it blends in a lot better with the body if you trim away some of the side of it, of the leg there, like that. So you kind of like got that shape then. And then push that up against the body, and hopefully it should be the same size as the other one. If not, don't worry too much. Just looks like he's got one paw in front of the other. There, that's looking good. There we go. This is the shape you should be looking at the moment. So you are just pressing it up against the body. You can smooth it out with your fingers if you like. But let's move on to the front legs. So you're going to need to do the same as you did with the back legs. So roll out some snakes of clay again. This time you're going to do it a little bit thinner than the thickness of a pencil. So let me just give this a roll. Okay, so you're going to roll this a bit thinner than the back legs, otherwise we won't have room to fit them on the body. I really hope you guys are enjoying this so far. So just going to see if I'm happy with the thickness. I'd say so. So what you're going to do is do the same as you did with the front paw, back paw, sorry. Squidge down the end and smooth. This one's not going to be as difficult as this one. You don't need to bend over or anything. So we're going to place the toothpick probably about 5 centimeters in, and then press down gently and lift up the snake of clay like that. Okay, and then you're going to create the toes like you did with the back paws. So toothpick in the middle, on the side, on the other side. Just gently push the toothpick into the clay. There you go, you should have a paw then. If it's kind of a bit wobbly like that, you see how it's not quite straight anymore, that's fine. If you just put it back onto the smooth surface and kind of roll it backwards and forwards, it'll just smooth out the clay again. You can also just use your fingertip to push the paw upwards a little bit and it'll just blend it all in nicely for you. And then we have a paw. I do apologise about the lighting, guys, it's not great. There we go. So we need to attach the front paw to the body. Okay, so now you've got the front paw, we need to sort of measure up to the body. Whoa. Where we need to trim the leg. So to the top of the neck, make a line with your toothpick or your knife, and then we're going to get your knife, and if you come in at an angle like that, see how the angle is there, so that'll help blend it into the body nice again. You just, there we go, push that onto the body. You can push the neck forward with your finger and with your thumb, just push it against the body so it sticks. That easy. And then with the rest of your snake of clay, push down with your finger. It'd be better if I was left-handed at this, or I had the light that end. Hope you guys can see it. Okay. Okay, remember what we're doing. Lift up against the toothpick. and that's his other paw. Okay, and then again we're going to cut at an angle just so he blends into the body nice. Mums and dads, you'll have to help your kids with that bit. If they've got those little plastic knives, that might work if you're worried about them using sharp objects or you're not able to help them. Right, what we're going to do now is, if you get your toothpick where the top of the legs meet, just gently roll your toothpick over that. Only gently, don't push down too hard. And that'll just smooth the top out, ready for the head. Okay. Here we go. It's starting to look more like a doggy now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, if you get your toothpick and simply snap it in half, and then you're going to push the toothpick into the top of the body and just press down so that the toothpick's embedded into the body, and that is going to keep his head nice and secure on the body for you. Okay, so now the exciting part, let's do his face. So whatever remaining clay you've got left, you're going to need to roll up a ball, maybe about the size of a, just slightly larger than a Malteser. If you don't know what that is, then I'm just trying to think, maybe the same size as a marble. Okay, just roll that into a ball. Just keep rolling, or roll on the table with your finger until you get a round shape. Ta-da! Okay, so if you just put it against the body, just see if it's the right size. Obviously you don't want it too small or too big, but that looks just right. Okay, so what you're going to do is, if you get your little pinky fingers and just gently push your fingertips into the clay. Not too hard, just gently. And then look at that shape. You can see where his eyes are going to go. So it kind of gives you like eye sockets basically. So obviously don't put your fingertips together because that's just going to smush a big line in. Just slightly apart and press down. Okay, next we're going to do the nose. So take some of your clay and roll that up into a small pea-sized ball. Like that. Get your knife and cut exactly as close to the middle as you possibly can. What I do to stop it squishing the clay is I just gently rock the blade backwards and forwards, and it just seems to cut the clay a lot better then. So now you've got your pea chopped in half. What you're going to do is smush that flat. So just gently push your finger down onto the two halves of the clay that you just cut. And then we're going to add these to the face. So first of all, that one on one side, so not in the middle, on the one side like that, underneath the one eye, and the other one, put it next to the one that you've just put on the face. There you go. It's looking good, hey? Okay. So that's the start. Get another tiny piece of clay. This one's going to be a lot smaller than a pea. So this is going to be a very small pea. And that you're just going to simply gently smush with your fingers. Smush, smush, smush. And then you're going to put that in the middle underneath the two that you've just put on the face. So like so. And gently press with your thumb. Hey, look at that. Hee. Okay, so you can see his mouth now. So what's he missing? Nose. We need a nose. So if you've got any black clay, great. If you don't, you can use the same colour. It just won't stand out as much. So I've got a tiny piece of black clay here. You're going to pinch off a tiny, tiny amount. Very, very small. Very, very small. Like that small. So once you've got your tiny, tiny little piece like that, all rolled out, you're going to put that on the top of the middle, like so. And gently press. Don't press down too hard, you don't want to smush his nose. Okay. Now, you've got different options for eyes. I usually use beads for eyes. If you don't have beads, don't worry. These are effective because obviously they're shiny. So, but you can just use another piece of black clay for the eyes. So I'm just going to assume you guys have got a darker piece of clay. So if you haven't got black clay, just use a darker colour if you can. So we'll just go with just clay for now, because if you guys haven't got beads, then obviously there's no point showing you how to do that. So about the same size as you did the nose, roll up a small amount of black clay. Okay, and you're going to pop his eye just there. If you've got white clay, you could always add a piece of white clay first, smush it in with your fingertip again, and then add the black pupil on top, and that would be quite effective as well. But we're going to keep this nice and simple for the kids. So that's one eye. Let's do another ball, the same size as the nose and the other eye. Ooh, is that the same size? Is that too big? No, that looks fine. Okay, he's looking super cute. So now all that's missing off this doggy is some ears. So what you want to make sure you're doing, if you use a different type of coloured clay, and obviously the colour gets on your hands, either go and wash your hands, or if you've got some baby wipes to hand, just give your hands a little wipe to get off any of the coloured clay. As you can see, look at that, there's all black on there. So if I'd have picked up some more brown, I'd have like got it all dirty with black clay. Just a little tip there. Right, okay, so let's get started with the ears. So let's put his head to one side. So just smush another ball of clay, doesn't matter what size. And roll up. I always roll into a ball first. Put on your surface, smush down with your finger, just keep smushing until you get the thickness of about a £1 coin. Like that. Okay, get your knife, cut that circle in half. Now this is going to be the tricky bit. We're going to have to shape this into an ear. So if you get your fingers on one side of the circle, just squish down so you get a point like that. So gently squish. Okay. Put that back down, just make sure it's nice and flat. Get your knife again and trim off the one end, keeping your pointy end that you just made. There we go. And then what you can do if you want to is just round off the edges so that they're not so pointy. So you can just press those in with your fingers, just making sure the ear's flat. So you can keep squishing it down with your finger. Okay. So that's going to go like that. But first of all, we need to make his other ear. So what I do is I just keep the one ear there as a guide for how big we're going to make the other one. So that's what you started off with, and that's what you should end up with. So sort of like a soft triangle shape. So, oh, what am I doing? Sorry. Getting carried away. I'm not used to filming myself like this. So, squish one end with your fingers till you make a pointy end. Like so. Pop him back down. Make sure he's nice and flat. And then get your knife. Trim the one end. Make sure he's the same size as the other one. Now they don't have to be absolutely identical. All ears are different shapes and sizes. So just do what you did with the other one, just smooth out the edges, sorry, until you get a triangle shape. So it's a lot of smushing with the fingers until you get the shape you want. I can see that one's slightly bigger than the other, so it's not a big deal. Trim a bit more off. Whoops, that went on the floor. Okay. There we go. Right. Once you're happy with the ears, you get your little doggy noggin again. And with the pointy end of the triangle, just press it to the side of his head. You can put them as high up or as low down as you want, depending on what sort of dog you want him to look like. So just smush the top of the triangle in, and then at the bottom of the triangle, just kind of lift it outwards. Don't keep it flat like that. Lift him out like that. And then you can tell he's got ears then. Just makes him look a bit cuter, I think. Again with the same one. Just gently press it onto the head. Try not to push too hard, otherwise you might misshape his head, because he's still quite soft at this point. You flare the ears out at the end. Flare them out. Yay! Look at the doggy face. Isn't that cute? Okay, so if you've got another toothpick, what you're going to do is underneath his chin, you're going to gently, well, what I do is, just to prevent smushing the clay, is just twist the toothpick in, and then you won't need to push down so much, which can cause you to misshape the head. So just twist the toothpick in gently, about halfway into his head, and then I'm going to push him down onto his toothpick here. so he can attach to his body. So and then give his head a little wiggle like that. To prevent his head from popping off after he's baked, before you put his head onto the body, just get yourself a tiny bit of super glue if you have it. If you don't, then as long as you push the head quite hard down onto the body, it should stay put. But if you do have a tiny bit of glue, even better. Squish him in. So the only thing that's missing from this doggy now is a tail. So you should have quite a bit of scrap clay left. So if we just pull a bit off, I'm going to make another snake of clay. Quite thin this time. So maybe about the same thickness of your toothpick. Or maybe slightly thicker than that. Okay, get your knife, cut. You can have it as long or as short as you want. This doggy's got a very long tail. Maybe make him a bit shorter. So yeah, just roll it out so you got like a pointy end, and then push that up against his bottom. Curve him round. And then your doggy has a tail. If you want to make him super cute, you could always give him little bits of hair on top of his head. If you want to do that, you make a very mini snake of clay like this. Then get your toothpick, push it into the middle of the snake, try and lift it up with it like that. Ooh, it's gonna drop. Squidge it up so it's like a V shape, and then attach him to the head. So just gently push down the toothpick and then remove the toothpick, and then just push the hair over with your fingers, and then your doggy has a cute little quiff. How cute! Super cute. So guys, that is a very simple tutorial on how to do a doggy. I hope this helps anyone who's starting out with clay. You can also use the same techniques for sugar paste, I think it's called, what the people use to make cake toppers. You can use the same techniques that I've used today with this. So I'll do a cat next. So I hope you enjoyed it. So drop me a comment if there's anything that I forgot to mention, or you'd like to ask any questions at all, or you want me to mention a bit more in my next video. Drop me a comment below and let me know. I hope you enjoy this, guys, and please do send me your pictures of your doggy creations after watching this tutorial. I would love to see them. So have fun, guys, and take care. Bye.